The ship stood like a giant shadow at the edge of the launch station. Its silver hull reflected the light of the nearby sun, and the crew who gathered inside the hangar could not take their eyes off it. Humanity had waited centuries for this day, and now the dream was real. The ship was called Dauntless. It was not the largest vessel ever built, not even close. Many alien civilizations had ships far bigger, armed with weapons that could destroy moons, but for Earth, this was something greater than size. This was the first true interstellar ship designed to break through the silence of the solar system and step into the deep stars. Commander Elias Ward stood on the observation deck, hands clasped tightly behind his back. His uniform was simple, dark blue with the emblem of Earth stitched over the heart. He had been chosen after long debate, not only for his skill as a captain but for his ability to stay calm in impossible moments. He looked at the ship with pride but also with the weight of responsibility pressing on his shoulders. "Sir," said Lieutenant Mara Chen, his second in command. She was young but sharp, her black hair tied neatly, her eyes alert. "The crew is aboard. Final checks are complete. We are ready." Elias gave a slow nod. Then history begins today. Humanity's first step news of this launch had traveled across Earth months before. Billions had watched the ship's construction, each piece lifted into orbit from Earth's surface, the Moon, and even Mars. It was built not only with human hands, but with unity. Nations that once argued had come together, because everyone knew this was not about one country. It was about the species itself. The Dauntless was more than a ship. It was a message to the universe: we are here. We are ready. Elias walked through the long corridor that led into the heart of the ship. He passed by engineers still checking panels, medics preparing their equipment, and scientists whispering excitedly about what they might find beyond the stars. Each of them carried the same fire in their eyes. They were about to become the first humans to leave their system, the first to touch the unknown. Inside the command bridge, the wide glass canopy gave a view of the endless dark. Earth glowed far behind them, a blue jewel in the void, and beyond it stretched the uncharted galaxy. Elias took his seat at the center console. The hum of the ship's engines was steady, like a heartbeat waiting to quicken. "Status report," Elias said firmly. "All systems stable," Mara replied. "Fuel reserves at full. Navigation locked. Crew secured." The chief engineer, Jonas Hale, leaned over his console, his hands covered in grease even in zero gravity. "The drive is ready, Commander. She'll fly." "I don't care what the Council thinks." Elias glanced at him. "The Council?" Jonas smirked. "Don't tell me you haven't heard. Aliens are watching, Commander, and they don't believe we'll make it past the first jump." Watching eyes in the dark far beyond human sensors, the words were true. Dozens of alien civilizations had already turned their gaze to Earth. They had known of this planet for centuries, but most dismissed it. To them, humans were young, still learning to crawl among the stars. The Galactic Council, an alliance of the great powers, held long debates about whether humanity was worth notice at all. Now, as Dauntless prepared to leave its home system, alien observers sat in distant ships, recording everything. In the high halls of the Galactic Council, a chorus of voices filled the chamber. "Primitive creatures," one elder alien hissed. "They waste resources to build a toy. It will break before their second jump." Another, with skin like polished stone, waved a claw. "Let them try. Their fall will remind them of their place." Yet a third voice, younger and sharper, spoke with unease. "Or perhaps they will not fall." But laughter rolled through the chamber. To the galaxy, humans were still children. No one believed this lone ship would succeed. The launch back aboard the Dauntless, the crew prepared for the moment that would decide history. "Coordinates set," Mara said. Her voice was calm, but Elias could see her hands tighten on the console. Elias tapped the intercom. His voice carried across every deck, every cabin. "Crew of the Dauntless, today we step where no human has stepped before. What we do is not just for us, it is for every life on Earth. Whatever we face it together. Remember, we are not only explorers. We are the first." A cheer rose across the ship. It was not loud, but it carried strength, a sound of determination. "Engage the drive," Elias ordered. The ship vibrated as energy surged through its core. The faster-than-light engine, the result of decades of trial and sacrifice, came alive. Blue light streaked across the hull, and the stars outside seemed to stretch, bend, and then explode into rivers of brilliance. For the first time, a human ship leaped beyond its home system, beyond the solar shores. The sensation lasted only moments. Then, with a sudden stillness, the ship dropped back into normal space. Outside the canopy, a new star burned bright, surrounded by the faint shimmer of unknown worlds. Gas clouds drifted in the distance like painted flames. Silence filled the bridge. Every crew member stared at the sight. Some smiled, some whispered, and a few wiped tears from their eyes. They had crossed the boundary no human had ever passed. "We made it," Jonas whispered. His voice cracked, but it carried the joy of every engineer who had dreamed of this day. Mara exhaled slowly. All systems stable. No damage from the jump. Elias leaned back, the weight in his chest finally lifting. Then this is it. The first star humanity has ever touched. The galaxy reacts in distant alien stations. Data streams exploded with reports. Human technology had worked. Their jump had not only succeeded but had produced an energy signature unlike anything seen before. Efficient. Clean. Unexpected. How? One council scientist demanded, slamming his claws against the table. They should not be able to do this with their level of technology. Another alien adjusted his many eyes to the data. They use less fuel than our smallest couriers. Impossible. The council chamber filled with unrest. No one had predicted this. What was supposed to be failure had become a quiet victory. The weight of discovery back on the Dauntless, the excitement began to fade into calm focus. The crew spread across the decks, scanning, recording, studying. Every reading mattered. Every piece of data was history. Dr. Amina Patel, the ship's lead scientist, stood at her console with her team. Her eyes shone as she read the scans of the nearby planet. "It has an atmosphere," she said softly. "Breathable. Similar to Earth. Life signs are weak, but there is potential." Elias joined her. "Are you saying it's habitable?" "Not perfect," Amina admitted. "But with time, yes. Humanity could one day live here." Elias looked through the glass at the planet below, its surface covered in forests of strange blue. His chest tightened again, not with fear, but with awe. They were the first humans to look down on a new world. Shadows in the distance, but while the crew celebrated, Mara noticed something on her sensors. A faint blip, distant but present. She frowned. "Commander," she said carefully. "We may not be alone." Elias turned. "Explain." "Unidentified contact, far edge of the system. No signal, no response. Watching us." The bridge fell silent again. Elias knew what it meant. The galaxy had noticed them. "Keep us steady," he said quietly. "If they are watching, let them watch." The crew obeyed, but the feeling was different now. The excitement of discovery had gained a shadow. They were not simply explorers anymore. They were being judged. Ending of Part 1A as the Dauntless orbited the strange world. Elias stood at the front of the bridge. He watched the stars, aware of the unseen eyes staring back. He felt no fear, only resolve. "This is only the beginning," he said under his breath. Behind him, the crew carried on their tasks. Across the galaxy, powerful empires whispered in disbelief. A lone human ship had entered the stars, and nothing would ever be the same again. The galaxy had always been noisy. Civilizations traded, argued, and fought among the stars. Yet when the human ship Dauntless completed its first jump, something unusual happened. For a brief moment, the chatter stopped. A silence spread across the networks, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. But silence never lasted long. Within days, the news of humanity's success had reached every corner of the Galactic Council. Holoscreens glowed across distant stations, showing the small silver ship gliding near an unknown planet. To the galaxy's great powers, it looked laughably small compared to their vast fleets. And so the mocking began, the laughter of the stars in the grand chamber of the council, where hundreds of species gathered under a dome of shining crystal. Voices filled the air. "They actually think that little vessel can survive among the stars." An insectoid elder clicked, its mandibles rattling with amusement. Another, a tall being with translucent skin that shimmered like glass, gave a sharp laugh. "Children building sandcastles. Their first wave will crash and their walls will fall." Even the broadcasters joined in. Alien networks replayed images of the Dauntless endlessly, adding jokes, songs, and cartoons that portrayed humans as stumbling toddlers with oversized helmets. Across the galaxy, laughter rolled like thunder. But not everyone laughed. A smaller delegation, younger civilizations who still remembered their own first steps into the stars, watched more carefully. They saw something in the human ship's design. Not elegance, not overwhelming power, but efficiency. Simplicity. A stubborn refusal to waste. Life aboard Dauntless. Back on the ship itself, the crew had no time to care about alien jokes. They were too busy surviving. Commander Elias Ward sat in the command chair reviewing reports. The ship had made the jump safely, but everything still needed to be checked twice. Supplies, navigation, power, all fragile. Humanity had never been this far before. Lieutenant Mara Chen walked onto the bridge with a data pad. Commander, crew morale is strong. But she hesitated. But what? Elias asked. They know someone is watching us. That signal I detected hasn't left. Whoever it is, they're staying hidden. Elias leaned back in his chair. He wasn't surprised. We expected this. The galaxy doesn't miss much. They're testing us. And if they don't like what they see? Mara asked quietly. Elias gave a small smile. Then we show them we're not here to kneel. Down in engineering, Jonas Hale wiped sweat from his forehead. The jump drive still hummed, stable but fragile. He spoke to his team in a gruff voice. Treat her like glass, people. This ship is tough, but she's new. Every bolt matters. And in the science bay, Dr. Amina Patel studied samples from the nearby planet. Her voice trembled with excitement as she spoke to her assistants. This plant fiber can survive radiation 10 times stronger than Earth's. Imagine what this means for medicine, for agriculture. Every corner of the Dauntless was alive with work. They did not know how many eyes were mocking them. They only knew their mission was to push forward. The first encounter. 2 weeks after the first jump, the Watchers finally revealed themselves. Mara was on the bridge when the alarm chimed. Contact. 2 ships entering system. Small, fast. Elias stood at once. Are they signaling? No, Mara said. They're scanning us. The bridge grew tense. On the screen, 2 alien scout ships appeared, sleek and needle-like, glowing with strange blue light. They circled the Dauntless like sharks around prey. Jonas's voice came over the comm. Commander, their drive signatures don't match any database we know. This is first contact. The crew held their breath. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, and now it had arrived. Not with a handshake, but with silence. Open a channel, Elias ordered. Static filled the air. No reply. They're ignoring us, Mara said. Her jaw tightened. The scouts moved closer. Sensors buzzed as beams of light scanned the hull, reading every detail. Then one ship fired a burst, not a weapon, but a pulse meant to scramble systems. The Dauntless shuddered. Lights flickered, shields holding, Jonas reported. But they're testing us. Elias's voice was calm, but steel edged his tone. They think we're weak. Let's show them we're not. Human ingenuity, the Dauntless had no great weapons. Earth had not built her for war. But humans had always survived by using what they had. Mara, Elias said, plot a tight spin around that gas giant. I want to use its magnetic field. Her eyes widened. Commander, the turbulence, we can handle it, Elias said firmly. Mara nodded and began typing. The ship banked sharply, engines flaring, diving toward the massive swirling planet below. The alien scouts followed, confident they could corner the human vessel. Inside the storm, lightning flashed across the gas giant's endless clouds. The Dauntless skimmed through the upper layers, buffeted by winds that roared like giants. The magnetic field rattled sensors, distorting scans. The alien scouts tried to lock on, but their systems began to fail, scrambled by the interference. Jonas grinned from engineering. Beautiful, Commander. Their fancy tech can't see through this storm. Now, Elias said, redirect our mining lasers. Aim them not at their hulls, but at their sensors. The ship fired 2 sharp beams. They were not strong enough to destroy, but precise enough to blind. The alien scouts flinched back, retreating as their systems sparked. A cheer rose across the human bridge. For the first time, they had stood against the galaxy and survived. The shock across the stars, the encounter was recorded by hidden alien observers. Within hours, it reached the Council. How did they outmaneuver trained scouts? One alien shouted. They used a planet storm like a shield. Who thinks of such things? They fight like cornered predators, another growled. Resourceful. Dangerous. But the laughter returned, louder this time, though not as certain. They are clever children, nothing more, one elder said. This is luck. Next time they will fail. Still, whispers spread. Some began to ask themselves, if one small ship could embarrass trained scouts, what would humanity do with a fleet? The weight of doubt aboard the Dauntless, the victory was small but meaningful. The crew knew they had survived, but the threat was not gone. The scouts had left, yes, but others would come. That night, as much as a ship in deep space could mark night, Elias walked the quiet corridors. He stopped by the viewport, staring at the endless stars. His reflection stared back, tired but unbroken. Mara joined him silently. Do you think they'll leave us alone now? Elias shook his head. No, the galaxy doesn't like surprises. And we are a very big surprise, Mara sighed. Then what do we do? He turned to her, his eyes steady. We keep moving forward. If they want to test us, let them. Every test we survive makes us stronger. A crew united the next days were filled with preparation. Jonas reinforced the ship's systems, turning spare parts into armor. Amina and her team studied more samples, building knowledge that could feed billions back home. The medical bay trained for emergencies, knowing the next encounter might not be so kind. The crew worked not as individuals but as one body, each part supporting the other. They were not many, only a few dozen souls, but each carried the weight of all humanity. In the mess hall, laughter echoed as they shared meals. Someone played an old Earth song through the speakers. For a moment it felt like home. Do you think they're still laughing at us out there? Jonas asked, half amused, half annoyed. Elias looked around the table. His crew's faces glowed with pride, determination, and a touch of defiance. Let them laugh, Elias said. One day they won't be laughing anymore. Ending of Part 2, the Dauntless sailed on, deeper into the unknown. The galaxy watched, mocking, doubting, and fearing all at once. But the humans kept their course steady, their eyes on the stars. They had faced their first true test and emerged stronger. A lone human ship had entered the stars, and already the galaxy was beginning to wonder what would follow next. The galaxy's laughter had not ended, but now it was mixed with something new. Curiosity. The human ship Dauntless had survived its first challenge, not through overwhelming power but through cunning. For some alien civilizations this was amusing. For others it was unsettling. The Galactic Council, still certain of humanity's weakness, decided to take no direct action. Let them wander, the elders said. Soon they will face a threat they cannot outsmart. Those words, unknown to the humans, would soon become a chilling truth. Entering the wrong system, weeks passed as the Dauntless traveled deeper into unknown space. The crew adjusted to their new lives among the stars. The rhythm of the ship became familiar. Long hours of study, maintenance, and observation, followed by quiet meals, exercise, and rest. But not all systems were welcoming. Commander, Mara reported one cycle, her voice tense. Sensors detect unusual structures ahead. Large, metallic. They're not natural. Elias leaned forward in his chair. Stations? Mara shook her head. No, more like hunting platforms. And I'm reading faint signals. Multiple ships, Jonas's voice crackled through the comm. I don't like this. Energy readings are sharp. Military, maybe. Elias's jaw tightened. Bring us to half speed. Let's see what we're walking into. The ship emerged into a system with a dim star, its planets cold and barren. Orbiting one of the frozen worlds were massive spires like jagged teeth rising from the void. Ships drifted among them, sleek, angular, and painted in dark crimson. A chill spread through the bridge. The crew didn't know the name, but across the galaxy every species recognized it. The Karan predators of the stars. The Karan were one of the oldest threats in the galaxy. They did not build vast empires or trade in diplomacy. They hunted. Their ships roamed from system to system, preying on weaker travelers, capturing survivors, and stripping vessels for parts. To them, every newcomer was prey until proven otherwise. When the Dauntless entered their territory, the Karan did not hesitate. Multiple ships moving toward us, Mara said quickly. 8, forming a net around our position. Open a channel, Elias ordered. Static. Then a harsh growl filled the speakers, low and guttural. The translation system struggled, spitting out broken words. Weak. Prey. Surrender. Belonged to Corin. The bridge fell silent. The message was clear. Elias straightened. No reply. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. The first attack, the Karan ships moved fast. Faster than anything the humans had faced. Red beams slashed across space, grazing the Dauntless's hull. Sparks flew inside as panels rattled. "Shields failing," Jonas shouted. "We can't take more of those hits." "Mara, spin us toward the ice moon," Elias ordered. "Use its gravity to slingshot." The ship dove, pulling hard around the frozen world. The crew clung to their stations as gravity shifted violently. Behind them, 2 Corran ships miscalculated and crashed into each other, exploding in brilliant fire. But 6 remained. "Commander, they're hurting us," Mara warned. "Pushing us deeper into the system." Elias's eyes narrowed. "Then let's give them something unexpected." Turning tools into weapons, the Dauntless carried no great arsenal, but it did have mining equipment, scanners, and ingenuity. Jonas shouted from engineering, "We can reroute the drilling lasers. Not strong enough to destroy, but maybe enough to cut into their hulls if we get close." "Do it," Elias said without hesitation. The crew worked furiously. Energy meant for science tools was redirected into makeshift weapons. The Dauntless spun in tight arcs, dodging beams as Mara piloted with sharp precision. 1 Corran ship moved too close. "Fire," Elias commanded. A searing beam lanced from the Dauntless, striking the Predator's wing. It spun out of control, crashing into a spire. The crew cheered, but their victory was short-lived. The remaining ships adjusted, moving in with deadly coordination. Fighting in the shadows, Elias studied the system map. "There," he pointed. "A debris field near the gas giant. We can use it." Mara understood instantly. She guided the Dauntless into the dense cloud of shattered rock and ancient wrecks. The Quran followed, their beams carving through the darkness. Inside the field, chaos ruled. Rocks slammed against shields, ships darted in and out of cover. The humans used the shadows, striking quick and vanishing like wolves among the trees. Jonas laughed as another mining laser cut through an enemy engine. They didn't expect prey to bite back. But even with clever tactics, the Dauntless was taking damage. Hull plates buckled. Fires sparked in corridors. The medical bay filled with injured crew. Dr. Patel worked tirelessly, her hands steady as she treated burns and broken bones. "Stay strong," she told a young technician. "We are not done yet." The stand finally, the Dauntless reached the edge of the debris field. Only 3 Quran ships remained, but they were the largest and deadliest. The humans were exhausted, the ship battered. Elias looked around his bridge. His crew was bruised, tired, but their eyes still burned with fire. "We can't outrun them," Mara said quietly. "Then we don't run," Elias replied. "We stand." He tapped the comm, broadcasting to every deck. "Crew of the Dauntless, we have come too far to fall now. The galaxy may see us as weak, but today we prove them wrong. Hold your stations. We fight." The ship turned to face the Predators head-on. The final clash, the Corran charged, red beams blazing. The Dauntless fired every weapon it had. Lasers, flares, even redirected engine bursts. 1 enemy ship faltered, spiraling into the void. The last 2 pressed harder, circling like wolves. The Dauntless shook under the assault. Sparks rained across the bridge. "Commander, hull breach on deck 3, Jonas shouted. "Seal it and keep firing." Elias roared back. At the last moment, Elias gave a bold order. "Cut engines. Let them think we're dead." The Dauntless went dark, drifting. The Corran moved closer, preparing to board. "Now," Elias shouted. The ship roared back to life, releasing a surge of energy from its core. An improvised electromagnetic pulse. The nearest Predator froze, its systems shorting out. "Fire!" A mining laser sliced through its exposed hull. The Corran ship exploded in silence, fire blooming across the stars. The last Predator, seeing its pack destroyed, fled into the dark. Aftermath, the Dauntless floated in silence, its hull scarred, systems damaged but alive. The crew sat in stunned quiet before cheers erupted. They had faced the Quran, monsters of the stars, and survived, but the price had been heavy. Injured crew lay in the medical bay. Supplies were low. Repairs would take weeks. Elias stood on the bridge, watching the wreckage drift. His face was calm, but inside he felt the weight of what had happened. "They wanted prey," he said softly. "They found something else." Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread like fire. Hidden observers had recorded every moment. The council chambers shook with argument. "This is madness," one elder said. "They should not have survived." "They outmaneuvered the Corran," another whispered. "No species does that, not even us." For the first time, the laughter of the galaxy faltered. Doubt began to creep in. If one small human ship could stand against predators feared by all, what else were these newcomers capable of? Ending of Part 3. Back aboard the Dauntless. The crew worked tirelessly to repair their ship. Broken panels were welded, systems patched, and hope restored. Elias walked the corridors, speaking to each crew member, reminding them that they had done the impossible. They were bruised, yes. Weary, yes. But still standing and across the stars, civilizations whispered in disbelief. A lone human ship had entered the stars and had defeated predators of legend. The galaxy would never see them the same way again. The battle with the Quran had changed everything. The Dauntless was damaged, its hull scarred with burn marks, but it was alive. Against all odds, the humans had stood their ground against predators feared across the stars. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. The laughter that once echoed through alien halls had quieted. Now came something different: debate, fear, and curiosity. Who were these humans that fought like predators themselves? How had a single ship done what many fleets had failed to do? The galaxy had begun to take notice. Wounds and repairs. Inside the Dauntless, the crew worked day and night. Sparks flew as engineers welded broken panels. Medical teams treated burns, broken bones, and exhaustion. Supplies were thin, but the humans refused to stop. Jonas Hale, the chief engineer, stood among his team in the humming engine room. His hands were black with grease, his eyes heavy with lack of sleep. "She'll hold," he muttered, patting the engine casing. "She's stubborn, just like us." On the bridge, Lieutenant Mara Chen monitored the sensors. She kept scanning for new threats, worried the Koran might return with reinforcements. "Nothing yet," she reported, but her eyes stayed sharp, never leaving the display. Commander Elias Ward walked through the corridors, speaking to crew members one by one. His calm voice lifted their spirits. "You survived the Quran," he reminded them. "There's nothing we cannot face." Though weary, the crew's pride burned bright. They had not only survived, they had proven humanity's strength. A signal in the dark weeks later, as repairs neared completion, Dr. Amina Patel discovered something unusual. She called Elias and Mara to the science bay, her face glowing with excitement. "Commander, look at this," she said, pointing at a display. "Our long-range scans picked up an object drifting near the edge of this system. The readings are ancient. The structure is enormous, larger than any station we've ever seen." Elias frowned. "Alien?" Amina nodded. "Yes, but not Koran. The energy signatures are different. And here's the strange part: it's dead. No power, no life signs, just waiting." Mara studied the scans. "Could be a trap. Or an opportunity," Amina countered. "If we can study it, we may learn something the galaxy itself has forgotten." Elias thought for a long moment. Finally, he said, "Plot a course. Carefully." The derelict station. The Dauntless glided through the silent dark, approaching the object. As they drew closer, the crew gasped. It was massive. A station shaped like a broken crown, its spires reaching into the void. Entire cities could have fit inside its shattered ring. Ancient carvings were etched into the hull, their meaning long lost. Jonas whistled low. "That thing's older than anything I've ever seen." Mara's eyes narrowed. "I don't like it." "Why has no one claimed it?" Amina's voice was hushed with awe. "Because no one could. Look, this design, I've seen nothing like it. This may belong to a civilization older than the Council itself." The Dauntless approached carefully, floodlights cutting through the shadows. Dust floated like snow. The silence was heavy, as if the station itself was holding its breath. Exploring the relic, Elias ordered a small team to board. He, Mara, Amina, and a squad of engineers stepped into the ancient halls, their lights cutting across endless corridors. The walls glowed faintly with patterns, long faded but still beautiful. Some showed scenes of stars being mapped, others of ships that dwarfed even the largest Council dreadnoughts. Amina touched the carvings gently. "This is history beyond imagination. Whoever built this, they weren't just travelers. They were masters." Jonas studied broken consoles. "Their tech's different from anything we know. If we can restart even a fraction of this system, we could learn more in days than in centuries." Mara's voice was sharp. "Or we could trigger something we don't understand." "This place feels dangerous," Elias nodded. "We proceed carefully. No risk we can't control." The team pressed on. In the heart of the station, they found a chamber filled with dormant machines, their designs elegant yet alien. Strange crystals pulsed faintly as if alive. "This isn't just a station," Amina whispered. "It's a library, a memory of a forgotten empire." Awakening the past back aboard the Dauntless, Jonas and Amina worked for days to connect their systems to the station. Finally, a breakthrough came. Lights flickered inside the ancient structure. Holographic patterns shimmered, showing star maps, designs, and fragments of unknown languages. The crew stared in awe. Amina's voice trembled. "Commander, this technology could change everything. Faster drives, stronger shields, even medicine. This is beyond the Council's reach." Elias's face hardened. He knew the truth. And the moment others learn we have it, they'll come for us. The galaxy reacts. They were not alone for long. Hidden observers had already seen the humans approach the relic. News spread across the stars like wildfire. In the council chambers, uproar shook the walls. "They dare touch the relics?" one alien cried. "Those are forbidden." "Forbidden to us," another hissed, "but not to them. They have done what none of us could." Arguments broke out. Some demanded humanity be stopped before they unlocked ancient power. Others argued for alliance, fearing what would happen if humans shared the secrets with rivals. For the first time, the Council could not agree. Humanity had become a storm no one could ignore. Surrounded back in the system, Mara's sensors lit up with alarms. "Commander, multiple ships entering system. Different factions. They're not Quran this time, they're Council powers. Dozens of them." Elias's chest tightened. "They want the station." Mara nodded grimly. "And they're not here to ask." The bridge grew silent. They all knew the truth. The Dauntless was a single ship, wounded and outnumbered. The fleets outside could crush them in seconds, but surrender was not in their nature. A choice to make. Elias gathered his officers in the briefing room. The atmosphere was heavy, but their eyes remained sharp. "We have 3 choices," Elias began. 1, abandon the station and run. 2, hand over what we've found and hope for mercy. Or 3, stand our ground. Jonas slammed his fist on the table. "I say 3. We didn't come all this way to bow to anyone." Mara's voice was steady. "If we fight, we may not survive. But if we give this up, humanity loses its future." Amina spoke softly but firmly. "Knowledge like this doesn't belong to one crew. It belongs to all of Earth. If we surrender it, we surrender everything we've achieved." Elias looked at each of them. "Then it's decided. We stand." Preparing for the standoff, the crew worked with desperate determination. Jonas rigged the station's remaining systems to boost the Dauntless's shields. Mara mapped every asteroid in the system, planning traps. Amina downloaded every scrap of data she could from the relic, storing it in the ship's memory. They knew they could not win by strength. But they could resist, and in resistance they could prove humanity's spirit. The fleets arrived. Dozens of alien ships surrounded the relic, their weapons glowing. Holographic messages filled the Dauntless's comms. "Surrender the station. Leave at once. Human vessel, you have no claim." Elias stood tall on the bridge. "This knowledge belongs to no empire. It belongs to those brave enough to reach it." "And we reached it," Mara whispered. "They won't like that." The alien fleets began to move. Ending of Part 4, the Dauntless, battered but unbroken, floated before the ancient station, facing a fleet that could shatter it in seconds. The crew stood ready, their eyes steady, their hands firm. Across the galaxy, billions watched the broadcast, wondering what the humans would do. And in that moment, one truth became clear. The Dauntless floated in the dark, a lone spark of defiance against the gathered fleets of the galaxy. The ancient station loomed behind it, silent but powerful, its broken crown glinting in starlight. Around them, dozens of alien warships took position, their weapons glowing with menace. The air on the bridge was thick with tension, but not fear. The human crew had already faced death more than once. Now they faced destiny. The final warning messages poured across the comms. Voices of alien commanders overlapped, demanding surrender. "Human ship, power down immediately. You are surrounded. The relics are forbidden. Leave or be destroyed. You are a single vessel. Resistance is pointless." Commander Elias Ward stood tall at the center of the bridge. His face was calm, though his heart beat heavily. He looked at his crew, at the men and women who had followed him across the stars. "They believe we are weak," he said. "They think we will bend, but we are human. We do not surrender." Lieutenant Marachen's hands tightened on the controls. "Orders, sir?" Elias's voice was steady. "Hold position. Let them make the first move." Across the galaxy, billions of beings across the galaxy watched through broadcasts and intercepted signals. In crowded alien cities, citizens stared at glowing screens, whispering to one another. Why don't they run? They're only one ship. They're not afraid. The galaxy had mocked humans before. Now it leaned forward in silence, waiting to see what these stubborn newcomers would do. Tension builds. The alien fleets edged closer, forming a wall of steel and fire. Their weapons locked onto the Dauntless. Inside the human ship, alarms rang and shields hummed with strain. Jonas Hale, the chief engineer, wiped sweat from his brow. Shields won't hold long if they open fire. But I've rerouted power through the Relic's systems. We might just have a few surprises for them. Dr. Amina Patel nodded from the science station. I've integrated the Relic's data into our systems. Their weapons, their tactics, I think I can predict their moves before they make them. Mara smirked. Then all that's left is to dance. The first shot an alien battleship fired a warning blast. The energy beam roared past the Dauntless, close enough to make the hull vibrate. Elias's voice cut through the bridge. They fired first. Mara, show them what happens when you threaten humanity. With a flash of light, the Dauntless moved. Not with raw power, but with cunning. Jonas had tuned the engines with tricks no alien would expect, and Mara piloted with precision born of instinct. The human ship darted between larger warships, weaving through their formation like a hawk among giants. Alien commanders shouted in disbelief. How are they moving like that? They're predicting our fire. Impossible! The battle begins. The Dauntless struck back, not with overwhelming force, but with strategy. Mara guided the ship close to enemy vessels, forcing them to hesitate, afraid of hitting their own. Jonas triggered traps using asteroids and debris fields, turning space itself into a weapon. Amina used the Relic's knowledge to scramble enemy targeting systems, making their weapons fire wide. Every move was risky. Every turn was desperate. But every moment showed the galaxy something it had never seen before. Humans fighting not with numbers or technology, but with unshakable will and endless creativity. A desperate gamble hours passed. The Dauntless was scarred, its shields flickering. Crew members fought exhaustion as sparks burst across consoles. They're tightening the net, Mara warned. We can't keep dodging forever. Elias's eyes narrowed. Then we changed the game. He looked to Amina. What's the Relic's greatest secret? Amina hesitated, then whispered, energy control. Their technology bends gravity itself. If we channel it through our systems, we could trigger a shockwave strong enough to throw back the fleets. Jonas's face went pale. That much power could tear us apart. Elias placed a hand on the console. Or it could save us and show the galaxy what humanity is capable of. The bridge fell silent. Then Mara smiled faintly. Worth the risk. The shockwave, the crew worked frantically. Jonas rerouted every scrap of power. Amina calibrated the Relic's strange crystals. Mara aligned the ship for the perfect moment. Enemy fleets closed in. Hundreds of weapons locked on the Dauntless. Now! Elias shouted. The Dauntless unleashed the power of the Relic. A wave of energy burst outward, rippling through space like a storm. Alien warships reeled as their engines sputtered. Some spun helplessly, others broke formation. For a brief, shining moment, the lone human ship stood at the center of a storm it had created, untouchable. Across the galaxy, watchers gasped. The impossible had happened. One human ship had thrown back entire fleets. The message's silence returned. Elias gave the order. Open channel. Broadcast everywhere. The crew complied, and Elias spoke to the galaxy. His voice was steady, proud and unafraid. Humanity came to the stars not to conquer, but to learn. We did not seek war, but we will never surrender. This relic does not belong to the Council, nor to any empire. It belongs to those willing to reach for it. And we reached. He paused, his gaze firm. We are not children. We are not weak. We are human. And we are here to stay. The message spread across systems, carried by every channel, heard by billions. The withdrawal, the alien fleets, shaken and humiliated, slowly retreated. None dared fire again. To destroy the Dauntless now would risk uniting humanity in fury. To let it live was to admit they had been defeated by a single ship. One by one, the warships vanished into faster-than-light travel, leaving the humans alone once more. On the bridge, Mara exhaled in relief. They're leaving. Jonas slumped into his chair, exhausted but grinning. We actually did it. Amina's eyes shone with pride. We didn't just survive. We changed everything. Elias looked at his crew, at the faces lit by the fading glow of battle. He nodded once. History will remember this day. Across the stars in council chambers, silence ruled. No one dared laugh at humans now. Some leaders trembled, fearing the rise of a new power. Others whispered of alliances, seeing opportunity in human courage. The balance of the galaxy had shifted. On distant worlds, ordinary people spoke of the humans with awe. They told stories of a lone ship that defied empires, of a crew that fought with nothing but determination. For many, hope was reborn. The return signal back aboard the Dauntless. Elias sent a final message to Earth. The crew gathered around the comms as his words carried across the void. To Earth Command, this is the Dauntless. We have faced the galaxy. We have seen its wonders and its dangers. We have fought, we have bled, and we have endured. We are not alone, and we are not afraid. The message sped across the stars, destined to ignite hearts across Earth. A lone ship, a new dawn, the Dauntless, battered but unbroken, turned its course for the next star. The crew stood ready, their spirits unshaken. Behind them, the galaxy whispered in awe. Ahead of them, countless challenges awaited. But one truth was now written across the stars. A lone human ship had entered the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same again.